Is in Spain, where people have been voting in what are being called landmark elections that could end the two-party system. Newcomers, Podemos, which is an anti-austerity party, and Ciudadanos, which is a liberal party, they're challenging the ruling People's Party as well as the Socialists, who've dominated politics for decades. No one party is expected to win a majority. Unemployment, corruption and independence for Catalonia. They are the topics that seem to be dominating this campaign. Now, opinion polls predict that Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy's Conservative People's Party will be the single largest force, but they won't get a majority. It's up against the main opposition, Socialist Party, led by Pedro Sanchez. He's 43 years old, a former university economics professor. And more on the newcomers, the leftist Podemos, which means we can in Spanish. That's a party, as I say, which is opposed to austerity and is led by a 37-year-old academic, Pablo Iglesias. And the other new force is the centre-right Ciudadanos, which means citizens in Spanish. It's led by 36-year-old Albert Rivera, who has pledged to crack down on corruption. Live now to our correspondent David Chater, who is in the Spanish capital, Madrid. So we've outlined what the major issues are, David, that most people in Spain will be focusing on today. But what about turnout? Because, of course, that could really make a difference, couldn't it?
Martine, that's right. There are around 36 million people in Spain eligible in this vote, and the average age of those voters is 50. But what's making a real difference is the younger generation. These are the people that are like, if you like, feeding these two new parties. Let's have a look at exactly how these elections are shaping up today on polling day.
There is a pivotal time and tide in the affairs of all men, especially politicians. A thought on which perhaps the Spanish Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy was reflecting as he took his morning exercise, with his People's Party struggling to keep ahead of a surge in support for two new parties, two new kids on the block.
There's no such thing as certainty in politics, but one thing can be guaranteed today. The Prime Minister, Mariano Rajoy, is about to lose his absolute majority in the Congress of Deputies. That could mean many months of negotiations before the coalition is actually decided and who will rule in Spain.
Rajoy's hand has guided his country through some very rough economic waters, but at least nobody is now talking about bailouts. So why the erosion in his support?
Corruption scandals mixed together with the economic crisis has created this cocktail, and that's provoked people to ask what is being done with their money. So people are now paying close attention to the party's platforms.
Albert Rivera's Citizens Party could yet prove to be the kingmaker as Spain steps into its first taste of coalition politics in the 21st century. It's Pablo Iglesias and his Podemos party that is exciting most speculation. His anti-austerity stance might make him a natural ally for the socialists. They might even overtake them in the number of seats in parliament. Pedro Sanchez is trying to revive the socialist fortunes, to bring the party a new future and distance it from its past. For the Spanish Prime Minister, it will be a very different political landscape he takes his dog for a walk through when the polls close.
Martine, it's very clear that with 5 days in the run-up to the election, any opinion polls being banned, that we really don't know what the state of play is going to be in the lower house, the Congress of Deputies. But there is one area which has been taking polls, and that's the little Principality of Andorra, which is trapped between France and Spain in the Pyrenees. Now, they are reporting a late surge in votes for Podemos, led by Pablo Iglesias, and a bit of a falling away by the Citizens Party, led by Albert Rivera. So we don't know, nobody really knows exactly what the shape of the parliament is going to be, but it does appear very clearly now that the absolute majority, of course, will disappear for the People's Party and the Prime Minister, Mariano Rajoy. But where the coalition forms its main base, We simply don't know. And those coalition talks, if you like, could go on for up to 2 months. Under the Constitution, they have to come to a decision by March. But there could be long and deep negotiations between all the parties. But one thing is clear, as we've been saying, the two-party system, the Socialist Workers' Party and the People's Party, have lost their grip on Spanish politics.
Thank you very much indeed. David Chater, our correspondent there, live in the Spanish capital, Madrid. And of course, here at Al Jazeera, we will keep